Hi guys, today I'm going to take you on my entire process inspecting used cars before I fix them to flip. My name is Jeremy, this is Region Automotive, and let's get to work. Okay, so just to give you a bit of a backstory on this one, it's a 2011 Kia Rio with 245,000 kilometers, so it's going to be 150,000 miles, approximately 145. I bought this one as a bit of a mechanic special to fix up to flip like I normally do. And a family friend of mine has shown interest in it. So I want to go through it, especially, not that I would not fix it anyway, but I especially want to go through it, make sure it's going to be a good car for them. So just to start off with my inspection, and I do this obviously before I buy the car, but now we're doing the full inspection. So usually I just walk around, look at the body panels. I'm looking for rust along the bottom rocker panels here. This one had no rust, which is really good. And I just lifted it with my lift without the rust crunching through or anything like that. It had a mismatched tire and rim, so that was a question for sure. And I have the brand new tire and the rims in the trunk. So I guess they had a blowout on their winter set. So they swapped it over with a summer tire. So I'm gonna get that swapped out. I always like to have a matching set of rims and tires on the car. Just doing a walk around. Has like little scuffs and dings here that this stuff will polish out for sure. Same thing, that bumper will polish out. And yeah, the body for a used car overall was actually in really good condition. So that was my first thing that piqued my interest. And then the passenger glass is broken, so I'll have to find a replacement for that. One thing that I really liked is it fired right up. No misfires, no weird knocks in the engine, no abnormalities. And then yeah, when I get in, I just check all the electronics. So the radio worked, AC even worked, which is nice. All the windows worked, power mirrors worked. So I could tell that this was somewhat cared for. So some of you may have noticed that the engine light was on when I started the car up. Obviously I noticed that too, so I scanned it before I looked at it. So these are two things that I am going to fix before I sell it. So actually, luckily, this thing only had 2 modules to scan, which is crazy. I'll show you the code, and that's a good thing for our diagnosis. It's a non-ABS car. I actually like that, simplicity of modules. So anyway, I have a top-down app here, and I have the wireless Bluetooth dongle in the car. Super handy. So scan our engine, DTCs, and then we have oxygen sensor heater. So again, that's good because usually that's just replacing the oxygen sensor, bank 1, sensor 1. So that'll be that guy there. So I'll just check that it has power and ground at the heater. And if it does, then we just have to replace that sensor. And then the vehicle speed sensor, this is good. I did a lot of research on this code before buying it. So it's transmission related. And it's saying that it's not getting a good reading from the speed sensor, like the transmission's not detecting a good reading. So I did a lot of research, and if it's an ABS model, the speed sensor is on top of the transmission. If it's non-ABS, it actually shares the wheel speed sensor on the passenger front side. So that's why I said it's a good thing it's not ABS, because that'll actually make that easier for us to diagnose. So next up, while I have the car on the way up, I like to give the front tires, especially because you have all the steering components, a quick shake just to make sure. And these are actually super tight. Normally I even hear noise in the steering wheel inside, or a little bit of play in the steering, but these are super tight. Again, shows me that this car actually has been pretty well maintained, just kind of a few small things that the previous owner let slip. So next up, when I have the vehicle on the lift, I like to give just the undercarriage a walkthrough, and I'm looking at stuff like torn CV boots, leaking suspension. Ball joint looks a little wet there, but that's just a grease, but there's 0 play in the wheel, so I'm not even going to touch that. Overall, this thing actually is in really good shape. This was a good buy. As you saw earlier, it ran really good. And there's no undercarriage rust, which is really good for my neck of the woods here. Subframe's not rusted through. This wheel's good. Again, suspension's not leaking. The shock's not leaking fluid. Control arms aren't rusted. None of the boots are blown out. This thing's in really good shape. Really, the only leak I'm noticing so far is our axle seal. So just to check, I looked up here. It doesn't look like it's coming from any higher up, and it's kind of pulling right around the CV axle. And then here is our sensor, so we'll be diagnosing that later to see what our signal looks like. And same thing, just walking underneath. Again, no rust on the undercarriage, which is really good. Exhaust actually isn't all rusted out. And then same thing, I check rear shocks aren't leaking, springs aren't broken. So the undercarriage of this thing is in really good shape, and the leak right here is the only thing we'd have to address underneath. The last thing that I wanted to check on here was the timing belt, and it's pretty much exactly as I suspected because no one ever worries about changing their timing belt. This one's pretty bad, so it's going to get changed regardless. As you can see, it's dry cracking there quite a bit. This is a 2011 car, like I said, with 150,000 miles, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is the original belt. Just to tell you my rule of thumb with timing belts, usually I pop the cover off, take a quick look. If they're dry, rotted, and cracked like that, I can't let them go because, you know, that belt's going to break within the next 50, 100,000 miles, whatever. Maybe sooner, who knows, but you know, that's way past the service interval. That belt will break, bend the valves, take the car off the road. So if I was selling it to a friend or not, I'd change that regardless. And then if the belt looked a little better, like if it kind of looked old but it wasn't dry cracking, again, that's one thing I'd use for negotiation. But regardless, yeah, that belt's got to get changed, so adding that to the list. And then while we're here, this is one thing I noticed while inspecting it at the previous owner's house is the valve cover is leaking pretty good, so that's going to get added to the list. And then I'll probably get... Actually, no, that those cam seals, if they're not leaking, I don't usually mess with them, and that one's not leaking, so I'm just going to leave that. So I'm just doing some diagnosis here for that oxygen sensor. Actually, some people knock AI. I agree with not using it to think for you, but I find it super handy information, especially for electrical, to keep me along my diagnostic, my repair here. So for example, I told AI, you know, I wanted to check power and ground for the heater circuit. So there is a brown/white wire, which is the ground, just a white wire, which is the power. AI told me that, and then the two blue wires are signal. So I have the ignition turned on, and I have my multimeter set to 20 DC volt scale. I'm getting 12 volts, so that's perfect power going into our heater of the oxygen sensor, so I know 100% the oxygen sensor is the problem. So again, because this car doesn't have an ABS module, I actually just have two modules I can get into, which is quite interesting. I don't know, can't remember the last time. Well, it says ABS, but I can't get into it. I can't remember the last time I've worked on a car this simple. This is awesome. I really wish we could go back to this. So anyway, I wanted to check my wheel speed sensor for that code because it's on ABS. It's linked to that right wheel there. Yeah, so since there's on ABS module, the ECU takes care of that data. So I went into my ECU data. If I go down to vehicle speed, I'm looking for. Okay, so here's my vehicle speed. I'll put it on a graph. Full screen it. So I'm going to turn the car on. I have it on the lift with the tires off the ground. So I'm going to put it in drive and just let off the brake. And we're getting, like my dash is saying I'm going 18 kilometers an hour, and we're getting no signal from our speed sensor. So that is how we know we do have an issue with that sensor as we suspected. So we're going to go under and I'll show you the checks I'm going to do for that. Well, this is interesting. I can tell someone's been in here diagnosing this issue before because the sensor actually looks, I don't know, based on that, looks new-ish. You can see the tone ring on the CV axle there looks perfect. And I could tell that someone was in here because I was trying to get to this ABS plug because I wanted to check the same thing for power and ground at the plug. And all the clips were undone. So that's how I knew someone was here. Like all those, that gray clip there, that was unclipped. So I did put, so yeah, someone parts cannoned it through the sensor at it and obviously didn't fix it because I'm reading no volts on my multimeter. So I'm going to take this wheel off, take that fender off. If you watch my previous video, I had this exact same issue with that Nissan truck and there's corrosion right at the plug. So I'm just going to take this off and inspect all the wiring and see if we have that same issue here. All right, guys, we are learning some stuff. So I have my plugs connected to the ABS wiring there that goes to the ECU. So originally I thought I was getting no reading because I was on the 20 volt scale and I was getting 0. But then I stepped down to the 200 millivolt scale and I'm getting 0.6 volts. So that's what really threw me for a loop. So I checked my ground. My ground was good. I was getting some power, 2.5 volts at the plug. So I thought maybe I have a short again or corrosion, but I checked the wiring at the plug. Like, you know, everything under here looked really good. The harness coming up, I didn't really want to dig into it too much. I didn't see like a suspect smoking gun. So I was doing some research. Hey guys, quick interruption while I'm editing this video. I did a bit of research. I'm about to explain the difference between an active and a passive ABS sensor. I had the explanation right, but I had the names mixed up. So long story short, once you get into the video, a passive sensor is the one that creates its own magnetic or electric signal, I guess. And then a active one, sorry, I have to think about it because it's kind of confusing to me actually when I say it out loud, but an active one is the one where a signal gets sent to the sensor and then it sends a signal back. And I've learned that at the ABS plug, you either have a active ABS sensor and it has a little electromagnetic coil and it creates its own electric signal. It goes back and forth and it sends that signal to the computer. So it creates a little electromagnetic voltage. And then you have a passive ABS, which is what I'm used to, and that sends its signal, and then the coil completes the circuit and sends that signal back to the computer. So that's why I was getting next to no voltage at the plug. So when I was inspecting this sensor, I noticed that it has these little prongs, and I was looking, because I was just going to order a sensor off Amazon and just throw it in and see if that's a problem. So I was looking at sensors, and this is the active sensor for the ABS car, or sorry, passive sensor for the ABS car. I need the active sensor for the non-ABS. I'll insert the two in the screen right now and you'll see the difference. So that's the problem, is whoever, they had the right idea replacing the sensor, but they ordered the wrong sensor for the ABS car, and it's a totally different setup, so that's why it's not working. And also I can tell, one, that it's new, because like I said, those plugs aren't plugged in, and two, that the person who installed it may have not had the best knowledge, because they wrapped this plug in front of the strut. This is super tight. This should be wrapped around the strut to prevent it from ripping. So that tells me what I need to know right there. All right, guys, that's it on this Kia. So we went through it, checked the body, checked the mechanical, everything is pretty good. I already ordered the parts. So the parts that we need is the front brake pads, valve cover gasket, transmission output seal, ABS sensor like I just talked about, O2 sensor, timing belt, I think I said valve cover gasket. That's pretty much it. So that's all the small parts I need to like make this thing mechanically perfect. So just to give you some numbers on the project, I bought this car for $1,400. I literally just ordered all the parts we talked about for $215 on Rock Auto, so that's amazing. So I'm into this thing for $1,650, and I project I should be able to get $4,000 for it. So stay tuned for the next episode where we install all these parts and clean it up and get it ready for sale. Thanks, guys.